repaired, they just try to upsell you on a new phone. That's why the owner of iDrop, T. Kell, left those places and opened iDrop. His goal is a happy customer. T. Kell and the team will listen to what you have going on and work to solve the problem of your broken device in a way that best suit your needs, instead of trying to upsell you on something that you just don't need. They don't just repair phones, they can service your laptop or PC as well as your Mac. Windows 7 support is over, but iDrop can help you transition to Windows 10. They have a 5-star rating on Google with hundreds of positive reviews. Let me say that again. I don't think y'all understand how big this is. They have a 5-star rating on Google. Their customer service really speaks for itself. So if you ever find yourself with a device that isn't performing as it should, give iDrop a call at 865-888-9740 or check them out on Facebook at iDrop of Knoxville. If man made it, they can fix it.
Knoxville. It's your boy, Big Will, from Old Ben Franklin Motors, Alcoa, Tennessee, 911 Louisville Road. Yes, it's the holiday season again. Uncle Sam season, y'all. Income tax time. It's the holiday. So bring your last check stub or your W-2 to 911 Louisville Road, Alcoa, Tennessee, Old Ben Franklin Motors. Come see Big Will. And we're going to give you a free vacation if you buy a car. Bring your W-2 or your last check stub. Like I said, the 911 Louisville Road, Alcoa, Tennessee, Old Ben Franklin Motors. Ask for Big Will. Good credit, bad credit, slow credit. Guess what? You know we're going to get you approved. Call me now, 865-980-8216. Good credit, bad credit, slow credit. Set up your appointment and we will get you approved. Turn down for what?
JC's Tree and Landscaping Service specializes in quality tree work done at an affordable price. Trimming and removing trees are their specialty. They also offer other services like land clearing, stump grinding, crane services, and all of your basic landscaping needs for both commercial and residential. JC's will give you a free estimate and beat any written quote by a competitor to guarantee that you get the lowest price around. Don't risk your land with a fly-by-night service. JC's Tree and Landscaping is licensed and insured. Give them a call at 865-599-3799.
For a replay of each day's Swain Event TV, like us on Facebook.
SwainEvent.com, fueled by Dead End Barbecue. And I wonder, like I really wonder, when this song comes on, and you know when the song comes on, we're going to be joined by Austin Price of VolQuest.com at Austin Priceless. Austin, good morning. I wonder, so like when you're on the phone and you hear this music, are you like walking around? Do you like walk into a room just like Stone Cold Steve Austin, or are you sitting down?
I walk around, like climb up on the corners of the bed, like at a ring post. Hands above head, flipping birds, and asking for him to throw Steve Weisers to me.
Yeah, man. You like I can see you right now, like just busting into your kid's bedroom right now, Stone Cold Steve Austin, just throwing double birds. Everybody. At this point, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Go back to school.
Yeah, after being quarantined, basically at this point, I'm just trying to keep him quiet while I'm on the radio.
Austin, do you ask them if you can get a Perel yeah? Not a hell yeah, but a Perel yeah?
I saw that on Twitter. I mean, you know, people are too funny.
Yeah, man. We've seen a lot of comedians making their debut on Twitter, man, because they're realizing, they had this sense of humor the whole time, and work and stuff was getting in the way. Now you have plenty of time to release it because there's nothing to do.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do, and you know, if you get somebody to smile during these times, it's a good thing.
Austin, I'm sorry, man. You know, it's been a couple of days since Craig Fitzgerald left, and you know, I saw a different publication post a exit interview with him and his quotes, and it just doesn't feel right. Look right at the pit of
my stomach and my gut. It's just this is just an awkward move. It's terrible timing. I know he mentioned family. I know he mentioned, you know, uh, his family, his wife's family. Austin, I'm sorry, man. It just is awkward, and it is several coaches and people in the staff that have left and went on um, off base and feeling a little weird about Craig Fitzgerald leaving at this time.
No, I think the timing is awkward. Obviously, the timing, what we've been during spring practice, had the country not been in this weird COVID-19 deal, so that makes it awkward. But then when you factor in that they are in the we're shut down right now, it makes it even more strange to see people moving jobs. And I understand how you feel. Coach Fitzgerald. I talked to him, and he talked about his wife's family's from up in upstate York and all that. He said the right things, but you're right. It's hard not to listen or not to look at the timing and feel like it's a little odd. But hey, it is what it is, and Tennessee will try to find its new strength coaches 10th in 13 years, and then ready for what everybody hopes is the 2020 football season.
If I am Johnny Long, if I am, Tommy Moffitt, I am anyone that used to work here as an assistant strength coach or even as a head strength coach, and I just look over the last, 13 years. A program that used to be the top of the line in a class of their own because of John Stuckey. Everyone wanted to implement the John Stuckey way.
Yeah.
And dude, we're a shell of ourselves, what this program used to be as far as strength and conditioning, and it's been a revolving door. I know how proudful a guy like Johnny Long is in his strength program, because when he stepped away from being a strength coach, he took the record board with him. There used to be a board with all the records, every position, 40, squat, bench, and Johnny Long did not leave that board. Johnny Long took it with him. That's how prideful he was in the accomplishments that his players made it here at Tennessee. And I don't know where it is now. It used to be in Johnny Long Training Academy. I don't know if he took it from there or what, if it's at Carson Newman. But, I just think about all those guys, Rob Moore, who went on to be a strength coach himself, Eric Siano, who's an NFL strength coach. I think about other guys, Chris Stewart, who's a head strength coach. I think about all those assistants who are now strength coaches, kind of looking from afar at this Tennessee program and going, "Wow, man, 10 coaches in 13 years."
Yeah, it's been a bit perplexing. It's almost I still think the greater stat, the 10-13 for strength conditioning, but I still think the 6 defensive line coaches in 6 years. It's hard not to have the same D-line coach 2 years over a 6-year span. And it was just 6 different guys. You wonder why that Tennessee's been in the shape they've been in. It's not just the changes with Chancellor or head football coach or AD. It's the changes with a position coach for 6 straight years. It's a change with the strength coach for 10 out of 13 years. It's constant. And so the lack of continuity, in my mind, has stunted Tennessee's ability to build back and get to the point where they're competing again for the SEC East.
Yeah, and I know this is a time where you want to be as positive as possible, looking at everything that's going on in our country, and so, but it's hard not to think about, oh my gosh, Tennessee is now having their 10th strength coach in 10 years. So, with that being said, okay, where are we in terms of the next strength coach? I'm hearing that it's looking like it may be a hire from within, but it's not final. What's the timeline? We've seen Pruitt, when someone left, we've seen him make an immediate decision, have a replacement already in place with Jimmy Brumbaugh and moving over Brian Niedermeyer, moving Joe Osavet. Like, those moves were pretty swift. We also have witnessed the offensive coordinator search, which in some ways looked a little bit like the head coaching search, at some point. So,
and Jay Graham was slow to be hired as well.
yeah. So, okay, like, what do you think is the process in the next strength coach being hired?
Well, I don't think if you're Jeremy Pruitt, I think there's something to be said about trying to keep the continuity and promoting from within. But you're also not in a rush because the kids aren't on campus. So, like, what's the point of knee-jerking and saying, "Okay, you're the guy"? I mean, you can have those conversations with the guys that are on your staff, and that we're on Coach Fitzgerald's staff. But I think you're better off to have conversations with a lot of people because the kids aren't on campus. So there's no rush to get somebody in here, in my opinion. Take your time. Make sure you got the right guy. I still think it lends itself to being a promotion. A.J. Artis seems like the most, I guess, the guy that has the most traction out there. The other two would be Mike Farrell and Byron Jerido on Coach Fitzgerald's previous staff. But at the end of the day, there's no rush because the kids aren't on campus, so you're not having to think about putting them through workouts. And then two, the winter conditioning's already over, so you won't be doing anything except for with really heavy conditioning until the summertime. So there's no rush. So I would bet that Coach Pruitt takes his time, and takes the time even announcing, because even if he's going to promote, there's no rush to promote, or there's no rush to announce that you promoted from within.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I
By
understand.
the way, were you on that board? I mean, is that Johnny Long took with him? I mean, I don't think so.
If I told you yes, you wouldn't know if I was lying or not.
It's true. It's easy to say yes when the board has disappeared. Although I know Johnny, I could probably track it down, send a screenshot of it to me, so I could, verify.
No, you're probably right. You probably could. Yeah. So no, I was off about 15 pounds from the bench, 10 to 15 pounds from the bench. Press record, Dante Stallworth held that, and that was one I was eyeing because I knew I wasn't going to get the 40 record. So I was like, well, let me try to get this bench press record. And so got close, man, but Dante Stallworth was a bull. And remember, he had that year where he redshirted during the 98 season with the hamstring. So he was allowed to just lift weights all day long. So I guess they gave him the advantage. So no, I'm not on the board. I got close though.
You do have a trophy though.
I'm a champion of life though. That's all that matters.
Oh, Ben is actually there.
Yeah, he's here. I do have a trophy. I have a John Stuckey Lifter of the Year award from 2006. So that's the next best thing. Thanks, Johnny.
Nice. Is Ben live from his church this morning?
I am.
Ben is worshiping. He just had communion. He drank a whole glass of grape juice.
Yes, and now I am sending the collection plate your way, Austin. Austin, what are the coaches doing now?
He'll send it back to you.
Now that spring break is over, they were all at home last week. Are they still working from home?
Yep. Still at home, spending time with kids, making some recruiting calls. But really for guys that, put in these long hours, going in and being there before 7 a.m. and being there past 7 p.m., sometimes up 9, 10 o'clock at night, they're taking advantage of time to spend around their families, but they are getting some work done. They've, had some kind of discussions on the phone and on Zoom with each other about what they can do as a staff, and then furthermore, they've spent a lot of time with their kids because, again, as dads, they miss out on some things, and I think they're trying to take advantage of this time when they're at home.
Man, I mean, You said it, Austin. These guys rarely see their families, their kids, and the real MVPs of the families are the wives. I mean, they are daddy and mommy when it's football season, and maybe even times like this when it's spring football. And so they get that time home. That's kind of the silver lining in all this mess is, hey, at least they get to spend more time, with their families. Have you heard about a plan? I know Greg he talked about making some plans. One way about the college football season. Have you anything about Tennessee's plan? Worst case scenario, best scenario.
I think worst case scenario would be not having the season.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as like, okay, let's set the game is scheduled first week in September, or whatever, and then okay, let's start practice at the end of July. Well, what do you do? I mean, how are you going to conduct practice? Or say that everything's back to normal first week of July. However, are you going to lump in June, May, and July all into July? Or are you going to do something different?
No, what I've talked, I think the chance for the month of July to be a fully open month in recruiting would be very much on the table, considering normally 3/4 is a dead period. But if you're dead all the way through March, April, May, and June, then it makes sense to open that up for July. And of course, that would be just such a crazy amount of pressure that you would see on kids that, their high school coaches, whoa, you ain't been able to come on Arkansas, and we need you to stay here and live 7-on-7, all this. But then all the college coaches are like, well, would you come here? And then all of a sudden the kid's got like 10 schools that, really want him, but he can go about 4 places. It's going to be interesting to see. As far as the current team, I've heard anything from, swinging up your normal, like if everything's back open July 1, starting everything normal. I've heard kind of going like a, kind of like the NFL does the OTAs, kind of going, just not padded stuff, but some solid walkthrough type practices and stuff in the month of July to mitigate the loss of spring practice that would lead into fall camp. There's several options on the table, and again, we're still in March, so today's the 24th, Jason. It's a long way between now and then. Who knows where we are with this thing? It may be past us, and it may not be. You just don't know, and I think the unknowns are why everybody starts to kind of play this whole worst case scenario. I mean, I don't know how many people have said to me, I just hope college football's not canceled. I'm like, well, come on now. I mean, we're I understand trying to project out, but who knows what happens? I mean, if I projected out, and I think we were all guilty of it to this degree when Tennessee was sitting there at 1-4 last year. I mean, and that was, of course, just a football season. Who knows, where this thing turns? It's like predicting the weather. You can't do it. I mean, it's just too hard because it changes all the time, and it may get worse, it may get better. But I think you just have to kind of stay in the moment and understand right now, this is a tough time for everybody, and we hope everybody stays safe and, everything can return to normal.
Austin, what does missing spring practice mean for guys like Tim Jordan, Jameer Johnson? I'll throw DeAndre Johnson in there, Kevon Bennett maybe, guys who needed a strong spring to feel good about their playing time going into the fall, their final seasons of football, potential transfers essentially.
Yeah, well, I would take Kevon Bennett off that list because he's right now Tennessee's best guy off the edge.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, you bring up a great point. I mean, guys that probably were going to go through spring, see where they stood, and then make a decision about their future. Now they're going to have to make a decision off their future based off of just their gut. What's that? I mean, what's your gut tell you? If you didn't, it's kind of like Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson was able to his gut was shown yesterday based off the fact that, hey, I didn't play much this year, and our talent's going to be better next year, so probably ought to move on. Same thing with some of these football guys. I mean, Tim Jordan's a guy, I know he wants to play. He'll play here, but is he going to be okay with, third-string reps, and getting in, in mop-up duty or if somebody gets hurt or just very sparingly when somebody, the other two guys need, spelled a little bit. I think that's a great question. And to be honest with you, how does it affect guys like Chase Hayden, who's out there as a grad transfer? Across the board, Chase was going to visit here, going to visit Houston, going to visit Utah, going to visit, a couple other places, Indiana. But how does it affect him when he can't take visits now, likely until July? It's going to be interesting to see how all this plays out. The best part for Chase is he's got 2 years to play, not 1 year. How many colleges are going to take a chance on a 1 year guy, knowing that, if this thing don't get going until a certain time, trying to get somebody acclimated and get them to a point where you feel like they can help you, it may not be till 3 or 4 or 5 games into the season. Are you going to risk a scholarship for that? So these guys only have 1 year. It's going to be an interesting dynamic.
Austin Price, VolQuest.com here. Austin Price's Time is brought to you by Jennifer Morris with Keller Williams Realty Group. Out of the young quarterbacks, so this excludes Jared Gantano, Brian Maurer, Harrison Bailey, J.T. Shrout. Who do you think is probably making the best of this time right now?
And that's another group that was probably going to lose 1 or 2 guys after spring. When you really look at the quarterback room, we talk about guys that could potentially leave after spring. I've said on this show, Shrout and Maurer, or maybe both, could have left after spring if Harrison Bailey had come on and showed he was going to be a force. Now all of a sudden that room is so full. To me it lends itself to the fact that Jarrett's going to definitely be your guy, which isn't shocking in any way.
No.
But he's definitely going to be your guy heading into the season. Fifth-year player, he's played a lot of football. Those guys have just lost 13 practices that were going to they were going to try to build towards competing against him. That's going to be too tough to overcome that, especially for a guy like Harrison. So now Harrison's going to be trying to find his footing in fall camp. But I think that anytime you can have a stable quarterback coach, as far as a quarterback trainer, I think both Jarrett and Harrison have their guy they work with in Atlanta, Tony Ballard, and I think it lends itself to those guys taking advantage of time more so than others. And that's not to say that JT and Brian don't have a guy, but you're not going to have a guy in Knoxville, so you got to go home. Well, it's a lot easier to get to Atlanta than it is to get to Gainesville or Ocala, Florida, which is where Maurer's from, or in California in Shrout's case. So, I would go the two that would take advantage of it the most would be Jarrett and Harrison Bailey.
What about which one it hurts individually the most that they didn't have spring practice?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. I think it hurts Harrison the most, just because if you're a freshman, you're trying to find your footing. You're learning how to practice at this level. Obviously you're trying to, climb up the depth chart, and, he didn't get that opportunity. You could say that it probably hurts a guy like Shrout or Maurer based off, the fact that both those guys were here a year ago. They needed to have big springs if they were going to remain in the mix going forward, especially Maurer. If you go back to Jeremy Pruitt's comments there after the first day of spring practice, he talked about Shrout more so than he did Brian, and then just kind of tossed Brian in there. I go back to the fans fell in love with Brian Maurer because he ran down the ball walk and he high-fived them all, and he threw the long touchdown pass against Georgia. But outside of that, he had moments where he really, really struggled and probably got away with several passes over the course of his playing time, whether it be at Florida or in the bowl game against Indiana. I mean, there's a reason that, the coaches went to Maurer and then went right back to Jarrett. With Shrout, he's shown great improvement, but he's still got a long way to go as well. But I know JT wants to play, so his ability to get something on tape last year against South Carolina, I think, was big for him. He probably makes the most sense to leave, to be honest with you. But again, without going through spring, does he pull the trigger, or do the coaches say, "Oh, come on back and compete. We know we believe in you." Ultimately, somebody's going to fall by the wayside. Now, the question is, can Tennessee keep this room this full into the 2020 season? Because of what we're going through, it's possible. It was not possible, in my opinion, had Tennessee went through spring. And if Tennessee went through spring, I think that Tennessee loses one, if not two.
Austin, on a normal year, normal spring, you guys at VolQuest.com will be breaking down spring practices and getting us those great video clips of routes versus air, and gonna break it down, maybe the depth chart, and providing great coverage like you guys have always done. But now there's no spring. What kind of content are you guys dropping there at VolQuest.com?
Well, every Monday we will recap a Vol win from the past. We'll rewatch the game. We'll talk about it, and then we'll have members of that team on the podcast to talk about some stories, some interesting facts that maybe you don't know of. Yesterday we did the Rocky Top Rewind with the 1992 Florida game. We had Heath Schuler and Mose Phillips on. That's a great listen if you go to our YouTube channel or just go to VolQuest. It's on there as well. Then, we'll have a mailbag podcast coming out tomorrow. Friday, we'll start our look back at the 2019 season, which means we'll start with Georgia State. That's not going to be a lot of fun, but then it'll get better as the course of the season goes on. And then we'll just have continued recruiting coverage. As recruiting is slow, but at some point Tennessee will get a commitment, and things will pick up a little bit, not a ton, but a little bit out there in the world of recruiting.
If you are a college football staff, do you pressure a kid to commit now more than maybe if it was normal, just because there's a lot of uncertainty kind of to deal with? Or are you pressuring more or less?
I would not pressure. I would never pressure unless it's you felt like the kid's really on the cusp. But
you know what I mean.
I know.
Encouraging.
There are schools out there. Well, I mean, every school puts the heat on a kid to commit at some point or another. But I think a lot of times it's done in an instance where a kid is 90% in, maybe has like this one little bit of question mark about something, and they try to like eliminate that 10% and get him in the boat. But I do think there have been a few schools that have insinuated, well, you never know, with all this thing going on, you might not be able to take visits this fall. You probably ought to get your spot. And then, and here comes. It's kind of like not really pressuring. It's more so just creating a seed of doubt about, what this fall and summer and, this recruiting cycle holds. And so you've seen some kids fall in line with that. So, hey, I do think that once all this passes and recruiting's back open, I think you'll see some kids reopen their recruitments that have committed during this time, because they just were, holding their place in line, and now they want to, get out of line.
I understand that. Austin, man, thanks so much for the time, man. Do you have more patience this week or less patience this week with daddy daycare and homeschooling?
Well, Mom's home this week, so It's a lot more patience. And we made it through this 28-minute phone call, and it literally 6 seconds ago was the first time they've banged on the door. So, it's it's drastically better than it was last week when it was Daddy Daycare was running the show.
Good stuff, man. So you go tag team. You're like, hey, wifey, tag, your time, you deal with them. I have to go do radio.
Yeah. Again, I'm more than capable of getting it done. Not to the point my wife is, but I'm more than capable of getting it done.
It's
But
debatable.
it seemed like every time I would go to do a radio spot, whether it be with you or on 104.5 in Nashville, they would they would be quiet the entire time until I got on the radio, and all of a sudden it was like, one pulls the other's hair, and then here comes an elbow drop from the top rope, and daddy, daddy, daddy.
I love it, man. I love it. All right, Austin, man. Next week, same time.
Sounds good, guys.
All right, man. Thanks so much
Swain,
for the
keep
time.
him in line.
Thank you, man. Appreciate the phone call. Thanks for the time. Austin Price, VolQuest.com. His time is brought to you by Jennifer Morris with Keller Williams Realty. 865-257-7897 is her telephone number. Again, Keller Williams Realty. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, you do that with Jennifer Morris. Swain Event. Be right back.
It's brought to you by the Low T Center and lowtcenter.com. Do you know your numbers? Feel like you again. Let us help.
Home service problems occur, even at the most inconvenient times, like during a health crisis. And Hiller is always here to help you 24/7. As people are social distancing and staying at home on workdays, it's an easier time to take care of home maintenance items that you feel are necessary. And we've put new safety precautions in place, like wearing gloves, avoiding physical contact, new sanitation protocols, and limiting time in your home. We're here for you.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
You're driving home, flashing blue lights in your rearview mirror. The next thing you know, you're being arrested for DUI. Be responsible, but remember, just because you're arrested doesn't mean you're guilty. Call DUI and criminal defense attorney Marcos Garza. Put this number in your phone right now, 865-540-8300, because you never know when you or a friend will need it. Don't say guilty, say Garza. 865-540-8300 and GarzaLaw.com.
Jason Swain here. If you're feeling tired and grumpy, it could be low T or something else like sleep apnea. Low T Center now provides an easy and convenient home sleep test shipped to your home in little as 2 days and receive a CPAP device in little as 4 days. It's never been faster or easier to get tested, and most health insurance is accepted. Now is a great time to take care of yourself while you're being quarantined without sports. To order your sleep test online, just go to lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
At work? Can't call in? Don't feel bad. You can talk to the guys on the text box. It's part of the free Swain Event app.
Big thanks to Austin Price for joining the show and giving us some perspective on the whole strength staff situation. It's hard to talk about how important it is when you're looking for one. When you have other schools call and contact Craig Fitzgerald, it's hard not to talk about how big of a win it is to keep Craig Fitzgerald and keep everything intact, and then when you lose them, not also highlight the importance of it. I mean, you just can't do that, and so it is important. And I'm glad that Austin was able to come in this morning and kind of give us some more information about Pruitt's process of officially replacing him and kind of the timeline, and also made some really, really good points. I mean, there's not a huge rush. The guys do have their workouts. We spoke a little bit about that yesterday. Jordan Allen, converted tight end, posted his workouts, and so they have that. So hey, we good to go, I guess. Let's go to the phones this morning. Let's get to Jay on the Swain Event hotline. Jay, good morning.
Swain, good morning, man.
What's up, man? How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, man. Y'all staying safe?
We are staying safe.
Man, this virus. Swain, is that your wife that answered the phone?
It is, man. What you say to her?
She sounds too nice for you.
You're right. You're right. I'm gonna save my comeback for another time. I don't want to get in trouble.
Swain, this strength coach thing, man. I think with the money that Tennessee has shown that they're willing to pay, and seeing just how critical of a time point this is for Jeremy Pruitt. I mean, he's got things building and building and building, and going in the right direction. I mean, obviously he's going to go somebody he trusts, but I would try to swing for the fences here because there's not a lot of schools that are willing to pay that kind of money. And really, money talks. I mean, if you look at Indiana, now you don't think of Indiana as a powerhouse football program, but they were able to actually hire the guy from the New York Giants away to come to Indiana because they were willing to pay him $700,000 a year. Mm-hmm. And I think at the end of the day, money talks, Swain, and you got a great football program like UT, a place that cares about football. If you're offering big time money, I think some really top end coaches would listen.
My question is, Jay, do you have to spend that money to get the results that you have right now and maintain those results? Is my question. Do you feel like we have to spend that type of money? Because Nick Saban is great as a organization that he has and a program that he's built. Mm-hmm. Nick Saban got a few no's. Craig Fitzgerald was not the only no. He got more than one no. I know that for a fact. So, do you feel like Tennessee needs to pay a coach the same money that Craig Fitzgerald's getting paid?
Technically no, because there's a lot of really good coaches out there that would, and some coaches on that staff even could I'm sure do it, and you wouldn't have to pay them that kind of money. I think as a head coach, Swain, if I was in Jeremy Pruitt's position, I'm not saying that AJ or some of those guys couldn't do it, but I know my job is riding on this. Mm-hmm. I know how important the strength coach is, mm-hmm. and I would not want to, if I didn't have to, give it to a guy that has never been a director before anywhere. And really, a few of those guys, Tennessee was their first real job as a strength coach, mm-hmm. and now all of a sudden you make them the director. If I was Jeremy Pruitt, knowing that my career is on the line as well, I would try to get somebody a lot more proven, and that I guess that would be my mindset.
Yeah, and in terms of X's and O's and the science and understanding that, I'm pretty sure that these guys understand that part. But for me, mm-hmm. it's the how you are a leader of young men. And mm-hmm. AJ Artis is 26. Mm-hmm. When I was a senior, I was 23. So are you able to lead essentially people who are the same age as you? I mean, right. that's another dynamic. So I'm not questioning the acumen as far as understanding the science and knowing what lifts to do and how to get a team bigger and stronger and faster. It's the ability to motivate, when to hug on a player, when to ride a player. Those are all things that as a head coach or coach period, you have to learn the psychology of the game. There's some kids that respond better to this type of coaching. They respond better to that type of coaching. And the only way you understand that and master that is experience. And a lot of these guys don't have that experience. So I understand that concern because I have the same concern. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, man. I think Pruitt, but I'll say this, Wayne, I'll get off here. Pruitt seems to make good hires. He seems to make more good hires than he does bad hires. So I think he'll hire somebody good, whoever it is.
Yeah. I think Pruitt has earned that right. Now, he made good hires in terms of coaches that were actually good at coaching. He did change some of those hires, and a lot of those guys left after 2 years. There's only 3 assistant coaches that are part of this staff going into Pruitt's third year who was part of Pruitt's first season. So Pruitt has not hired what I felt was bad football coaches. Now, we've seen with the previous head coach, coaches come in and a group just didn't develop. We've seen that before. But Pruitt has not done that, but he has made some changes. Maybe personality, maybe fits, whatever. But it's hard not to agree with Jay. when you're looking at what's happened here in Tennessee the last 6 years and what we experienced, we witnessed Dave Lawson take this program to great heights after the issues that Butch Jones and company inherited. We saw Dave Lawson take a group, make them bigger, make them stronger. Remember the before and after pictures of Kurt Magid and those guys. We saw the before and after pictures. We saw them get bigger and stronger. And then to abruptly change and let go of Dave Lawson and then bring in someone else. And then we saw the program decline. We saw the injuries go up. We saw our guys getting blown off the football. We saw those things. So it's pretty natural for us as Tennessee fans because we've kind of seen this before. We've seen a change happen like this before. And so we're a little cautious. 100% understandable because I'm a little cautious. 26 years old if A.J. Artis gets the gig. Now, he has an opportunity to do something great. It really can. He has the opportunity to do something great and start a trend. You look around the country, and there are young strength coaches, but who's 26 at a place like Tennessee? If it's successful, guess what? People are going to try to copy Tennessee. You know, I reached out to Johnny Long just to ask him, hey, man, how are you when you took over for Tennessee? And Johnny told me he was 30. So he started at 26 as an assistant, did that for 4 years, and then took over at 30. So a 4-year difference.
I'm all for A.J. Artis getting the job if Pruitt is 100% convinced that he is ready to be the director, the conductor of the train. If he's confident in the fact that he's ready, then go for it. But Pruitt better make daggum sure that he is ready for it, because if not, then 2 to 3 years from now, we'll be sitting here going in to the season with Jeremy Pruitt's job on the line, in my opinion. Just like Jay said, Pruitt's career, or at least his job at Tennessee, is partially on the line with this hire, because that's how important the strength and conditioning coach is to a football program.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And, you know, I'll never forget some of the comments that Pruitt has made about his days being a high school coach. Deep down under, I think Pruitt really feels like I could do everybody's job, just like I did in high school. When I was in high school, I had to be the trainer. I had to be, the strength and conditioning coach. I was the offense coordinator, defense coordinator. I can coach every position on a football field. I truly believe deep down that Pruitt feels like he can do anybody's job over there. And you may be able to, but you don't want them to think that. You don't want them to feel like, that they're not important, that you can do their job better than them. Like, you have to empower them and let them do their job. And so same thing with the offensive coordinator hire. Hire someone that you don't have to micromanage, that you don't have to talk to, but you don't have to, call plays from their play sheet for them. You trust them to do their job. So Pruitt has earned the right to make a hire. He's done it a few times here in the short stint here at Tennessee so far, and most of them have been good hires as far as guys being qualified and producing. Now, personalities and things like that may not or have not lined up. But A.J. Artis, here's another important thing we have not mentioned. He knows what to get. He knows what he's going to get in his boss in Pruitt. And Pruitt knows what he's going to get in A.J. Artis. He knows A.J. can handle his style of coaching. And Pruitt and A.J. understands how Pruitt rolls. If you bring in someone from the outside, it's not like you get a trial period of a week to walk around to see how Pruitt runs things. No, it's all based on hearsay. You got to call someone who worked with Pruitt to get an idea of, okay, what is it like working with Pruitt? And you may not fully get a grasp of how it truly is, the reality of it, until you are actually at the table with Jeremy Pruitt himself. And so comfortability is also part of this thing too. Pruitt may be comfortable with AJ. AJ comfortable with Pruitt. He knows he can handle Pruitt, and Pruitt knows he can deal with AJ and work with him. For Ben McKee, I'm Jason Swain. Hope you have a great Tuesday. Same time tomorrow, 7 a.m. The Swain event is fueled by Dead End Barbecue, top 100 barbecue restaurant in America. Hour 3, powered by Low T Center and lowtcenter.com. You can still get treatment from Low T Center. They are at-home options. You go online, make sure you check out how you can get a sleep test sent to you in 1 or 2 days and then receive your CPAP in little as 4 days. There are still options for you with everything going on, man, to take care of your health. Please do that. Peace and much love. Same time tomorrow, 7 a.m. We are out.